Welcome back, guys, and I hope you missed my videos because today I continue recording website reviews in the terms of privacy fails and privacy mistake, which a lot of business nowadays do. So today we have a new website, and the task hour, as usual today, is to explore the privacy practices of this website, to see which types of data this website collects, for what purposes it might collect this data and use. So our task today is to guess for which purpose actually, and for sure we will analyze all website forms, all website menus, sections, and see for any pieces of personal data that we might find within this website. And as our last piece of our review, it will be the revision of the privacy policy of the company placed on this website, and exploring the missing parts and pointing out to the part that how actually it shall be implemented, how it shall be implemented in a compliant way. So the guys, that our task today is not to make the same mistakes as the different businesses do nowadays. So guys, please be sure to watch this video until the very end, not to miss essential points, and be aware of all privacy fails which we'll explore today. So let's begin. So guys, you see some kind of website, and as you might see, it's dedicated to some AI tools. We will explore today what actually the services of the company it offers and what kind of product it is, but our main task is for sure to find all types of personal data that this website collects and to explore the purposes for which the company might do this. So I propose to begin with first of all, we'll just begin with scrolling down the website and understand its structure, and then we will move step by step by analyzing different sections and different menus. So let's see, this is the first screen, and I already see that here is the request demo button. So we'll click on it a bit later, right? And we'll see what type of information the company actually requests. Let's move forward. So we see here the second screen, and it has some types of information about the features of the service, I suppose, and we will move forward. Again, another description of the service of the company, and here we see some features of this product or of this platform, I guess, and stay updated. It's I guess it's the form with the preposition to sign into the newsletter of the company in order to be updated with their news or different marketing emails. And we'll stop at this a bit later today. And the footer of the website with actually the business address of the company, email address. This is a good feature because at this point we can already say that the company is a US-based company. It's registered in New York, as you might see. I'm not sure whether this is the only location of the company or we will see another one, but we will explore this later in the privacy policy. But at least we know that the company is US-based. This is good. Here we see another section for founders, and for founders. Here we see the company description, about us, news, connect, and also the preposition to follow the company within the social media platforms and LinkedIn and Twitter. So in this point, it's necessary to clarify that all these links will be regarded as external links, so third-party links, and will not analyze the practices, actually the collection practice of the company there, because these practices are managed by third-party service providers such as LinkedIn and Twitter. So this information shall be just clarified within the privacy policy, and we will check it as well. And now guys, let's move back to the first screen, and we will move step by step by analyzing different sections of this website. So I propose to start with the first one, because we see here on the first screen the preposition, the button to request a demo. So let's click on it and see what we'll have here. Okay guys, and here we see the first website form, which collects some pieces of data. So let's see what we see here. First of all, this is name. We also see the company name, email address, and message form. So like the form to leave a message from website visitor or user of the company, I don't know, right? And request a demo. So what types of personal information do we see here? First of all, this is name, right? And I suppose just first name will be enough for the company because they do not request to leave your last name. This is good. And email address. Only two types, right? You might see. But actually, the message form might also contain personal information. This is connected with the users, which might actually provide some pieces of data that are connected to their identity, and they might share this information with you, with the company, even without any intention, right? Or maybe they just want to share some pieces of data with you. It means that you will need to clarify within your privacy policy the possibility of receiving this data that are left by users in such types of forms. And for sure, company name will not be regarded as personal information, as personal data, because it doesn't relate to an identifiable person. When we talk about personal data, we mean only all data, all possible data, including online identifiers, which we'll talk about later today, which can identify an individual. So company name is not in any way connected with an individual, it's connected with a legal entity. So this type of data will not be regarded as personal data. Okay, so another information which I want to stop here for a bit is that I do not see here the checkmark box for getting user the option to consent to the sharing to the collection practices of the company. Usually when users are sharing some type of information, it's one of the best practices for the companies, for the website owners, is to prepare and to embed within such website form a checkbox with the information that users, by sharing this information with you, they agree to privacy policy and the terms of service, for example. But in this case, the most important is to consent to the privacy policy, right? Because this form collects personal information, and user will need to be aware about the privacy practices of the company, how actually you will process this data and for which purposes. This information is not included here. We don't see here any checkboxes. So at this stage, users are not aware about the privacy practices of the company and they cannot review the privacy policy. So what I would suggest the company to do is to prepare such checkbox and to include it in this website form. But again, guys, this is a really good recommendation. Let's move back and see next sections. Okay, we have here the second screen, and it has some pieces of another get buttons, like learn more for founders and for founders. And so we have here the option for founders to subscribe to their product, to their service. We will do it just in a moment. And description of this platform. I get the screenshot of the platform, right? So this menu that users will see when they will subscribe to the platform. Again, the description of the product of the company, about the features, and again, the proposition to stay updated and to subscribe to their new email newsletter. About this, we will also talk a bit later today. So let's see what we have here when you click on the subscribe button. Okay, downloading the form. Cool. So what we see here is another website form, and I suppose this form is redirecting us to signing in, right, to creating an account with the company, with their platform. And let's analyze this form as well, because this is one of the most important website form at this stage, as it collects personal information of the users in order to provide them services of the company. And what do we have here? So we have email address, we have company website, password, and this is all. So I suppose that we'll need to see the description about this platform, get discovered, analyze funded, back to business fast. So this form, let me guess that this form is related, and it is actually connected with business owners and with the companies, because you might see the company does not collect any information for your name, or like actually any other identifiers of person or individuals, but it requires you to leave your company website and email address. And here we do not see specification which email address you need to leave. So it's not a business email or this an individual email, but anyway, I suppose that we can just guess at this stage that like which type of email the company requires. But this is like not regular form, I mean not regular in terms of personal information collection, because we see here the request to leave a company website. So in this case, it might be think that the company requires some type of business information from an individual, right? And this individual or a representative of the company shall have the company website to actually create an account with the company, right, at this stage. And what we see here also, we see a checkbox, like actually this is the type of checkbox I was talking about earlier today in another website forms. So it should be like you can even have the same one, right, but on this website form. And we also have here the links to the terms of service and to the privacy policy. We will stop at this stage right here. We will leave this tab open as of now because we will need to analyze another sections of the website to see what other types of information we might find today, and then we will go back to the privacy policy and analyze it in more detail. So let's switch back. We analyzed this section like for founders, right? And we can move back and learn more another section for founders. Here we see another preposition and another button. In this stage, here it is preposition to start a free trial. And let's see what else we have here. Okay, the description as usual, again, the features of this platform and the same subscription form for marketing email newsletter. So let's switch back and let's click on the start free trial. See guys, here is another form, another website form, but of the same actual nature. When we try to click on the free trial, the company offers us to leave our data, like our personal data, to schedule a demo version, right? A demo version. And I suppose that after you do this, the company connects with you through email address because you leave it here, and they propose you to discuss maybe this issue and for sure to provide you a free trial of their product. So at this stage, we see that two different website forms. One of this with the preposition to create an account for business owners or for a business representative, I'm not sure as of now, and for an individual who just wanted to schedule a demo. Okay, let's move back and let's analyze other menus, other sections of this website. We also have here the company. Let's analyze just general information about us, about the company, and see what we have here. Okay, another button was started for free trial, but we have already analyzed it, so I will omit it at this stage because we know already which types of information the company collects through it. Okay, leadership. This is co-founders, so all persons that represent the company and that work for it, right, with different roles and responsibilities, and this all the descriptions of this person. So we'll scroll down because it doesn't relate to our task today, so I will just omit this. Okay, you can scroll down. You see right here. Okay, got again links to their social media profiles and subscribe link to their newsletter again, right? Here we can close this and switch back. We also have another section use. Sometimes there are really interesting information in terms of privacy practices, so we'll analyze it for sure. Let's see. Here we see some featured news about the company, and watch latest. There is embedded links of videos, and let's also click on some of them to see what type of player the company uses. Okay, guys. So you might see this is an embedded video from YouTube, from social media YouTube. What does it mean in terms of privacy practices and in terms of information that company needs to highlight within its privacy policy? So this is a normal practices for a lot of website owners to actually include the links, to embed some videos, some content, images to their websites, which which are embedded from external resources. In our case, it's YouTube. And you need to understand such a lot of companies, so a lot of social media platforms such as YouTube or Facebook, they places some cookies, some trackers, or some pixels on your on your website when you do this, right? And they also do this for tracking purposes, for analytics purposes, for different types of purposes, for their own purposes, and this is absolutely normal practices. But the issue here is that cookies and other tracking technologies that they are considered the part of personal data, and they also need to be outlined. They need to be highlighted within the privacy policy, especially when we speak in different privacy regulations in the light of, for example, European regulation, in the light of the GDPR, and you need to highlight, and for sure you'll need to disclose this information as well. So when we'll analyze privacy policy later today, we will need to check whether the company actually mentioned that they places cookies, they places first-party cookies, and in this case third-party cookies, because YouTube is like external service providers, and they do this for their purposes, like for their tracking purposes. And in this case, for example, the cookies placed by YouTube, they will be regarded as social media cookies, right? And I can show you even how you can check this information from the technical part on the website to confirm that actually that the website contains these cookies. You might see, right? YouTube is within one of the types of the cookies that is placed on this web page. So it doesn't mean that you will see on every pieces of on every web page that you will open, you will see this cookie. But in this case, we are analyzing use section, and we see some videos like the company placed here, right? And in this specific case, we might see these cookies, these trackers that are set. And if, for example, these cookies are blocked by default within your website browser, they will not be visible, and you will not be able, for example, to play this video. So you'll need to analyze how it works there. But today we will not analyze the technical part in so detail, because it requires additional work, it requires additional analysis from developers and technical part, and sometimes you will also need to use additional tools for analyzing cookies, trackers, and making cookie scan reports, right, to see the full picture. But I'll just show you an example how it works and what types of information the company needs to disclose within its privacy policy. So let's close this section of now, and let's analyze other parts of this block, of this actual section in use. Let's see what, for example, articles does have. Do they have maybe some forms for leaving comments of users or website visitors or not? So let's check this. Okay, we have here the buttons to share, right? Login into your website. Yeah, you can share. See, you can share this post with social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and just copy the link. Again, guys, the same issue here. When a company places some likes buttons, some shares button from social media platforms, they usually also, these platforms, placing some types of trackers, like web icons, pixels. Again, this is technical part. I will not stop at this place right here, but you will need to understand that the company for sure uses and places the third-party tracking technologies as well, and these features have the confirmation of this feature. So this is what I was talking here. You even can leave a comment, but I actually don't see. Let's try. I don't know. Just publish it. Okay. It was really interesting how it works, because I just saw the window that you can leave a comment, and if you can leave a comment, it means that you need to share some type of personal information, like about the person who does this, who shares this comment, right? And when you do this, the company offers you to sign up with email, or sign up with Google, sign up with the Facebook, and to read more. Okay, so already a member. I'm just trying to figure out how it works. All right, you can, if you have an account with them, you can send log in, right? Or you can log in with another platform. So Google sign in or Facebook. So what does it mean, guys? We just saw the form for signing in, for the creating an account, or for login. So when we tried to leave a comment within the website proposed us to actually to create an account to do this, or to log in, right? So what is interesting at this stage? So we saw the options to sign in by the use of third-party service providers such as Google Forms, Google Sign-in Form, and actually Facebook Form. It means that the company shares and discloses information with these third-party service providers, and vice versa, right? These service providers, like Google and Facebook, share some types of personal information with the consent of users or website visitors with the company for the purpose of the creation of account and for the purpose of actually using the functionality of the website. So, and these types of information, these disclosure practices shall be obviously described within the privacy policy of the company. They will be also very clearly described there. So I will leave this tab open at this page, and not to forget to check this information within the privacy policy later today, and we will move back to the other sections to analyze other sections of the website, and we will move back. Okay, we were here. Let's analyze other sections. We also have the section Connect, and the same form as we saw a lot of times before to schedule a demo, and the same types of information the users need to share. So we will close this one and check other. So follow us. This is just external links about which I talked about, right? So this is like just they follow two external links. Okay, so we omit them. And what else? And we also haven't analyzed newsletter form, state update form, right? So actually this also pretty common practices of most website owners, of most websites, and I guess that's usually you see on every website such kind of form. It may be like with another wording, but doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Sorry. What matters is that the company collects this information, in this case only email addresses, to send users marketing emails or marketing communication, right? To propose there some offers, use, I don't know, just different types of marketing communication. But then mistake, the privacy fail here is that the company again hasn't added a box, like a checkmark box, which we saw before, with the proposition to consent to the privacy practices of the company. So, in an ideal world, the company would need to place checkbox with a for sure it should be unmarked, right? Because users need to actively mark this checkbox, and users need to review the privacy policy before consenting to sharing their email address with you. But we don't see here any checkboxes. We don't see any links to the privacy policy, so the user just can share their email address, and they do not know like the future use, any other possible use of this information by the company. It's just stayed unclear. And another issue, guys, which I also want to pay your attention to, is that I don't see here any link to the privacy policy of this company. So if we scroll back, if we just turn back to the first screen, or we move back to the footer of the website, there is absolutely no as you may see, no information, no links to the privacy policy or the terms of service. But in our case, I do not analyze the terms of service. I'm interested specifically today in the privacy policy, and I do not see this information right here. And this is actually also a big privacy fail. Privacy policy shall be publicly available of any website owner, any website which collects just like minimum pieces of personal information. So this is really a big mistake and a big privacy fail. So users, website visitors just simply cannot review the privacy policy to understand how company processes, how company collects their data, and for which purposes they use, with whom, with which parties do they actually share its data, like, right? Which privacy rights do they have? So all these types of information users cannot get acquainted with. But interesting issue that we saw actually the link with the privacy policy when we analyzed one of their tab that we left open. So let's move back and let's find this link. No link. Here's also no link, and even when we tried to sign up, right, we also have the option to sign up with a mail or sign up with a third-party platform, but again, see guys, we don't have the preposition to review the privacy policy before signing up. So again, no information about this, only one form. And be sure that this form actually not for all types of actually visitors, not for all types of users, because the company divided the users into two types, like funders and founders. And these specific forms, I do not remember, but let's see. No, these funders and for founders, right? Get started for free. Yeah. When we clicked on the founders, we were transferred to the form for the creation of the account here, right? And only this form has like this checkbox with the preposition to review the privacy policy of the company. This is actually really ridiculous, guys, because it's a really big violation of most privacy regulation, because any privacy law of the world, like I wouldn't even say which one doesn't have this specific requirement, but most privacy laws of the world, they have the requirement to have a clearly visible privacy policy linked or like placed on your website, on your mobile app, on any resources which you own, right? Because users do have the option to review it, to see, to analyze it in any moment of the time, whenever they choose, whatever they do on your website, whenever they want, right? But anyway, we will analyze this privacy policy, because this is like our main task today, and this is good that we have already found this. I was supposed that we will not found this at all, but we did this, so this is good. Let's move to this privacy policy and let's start our revision of this privacy policy, and we will now compare actually the existing practices that we just saw there, all pieces of information that we have found here, that actually the purposes for which the company does this, and I will also move step by step. I will analyze every block of this privacy policy and will stop at the moment which will require my attention. Let's just scroll down from the first point to the last one, to the last section of this privacy policy, just to quickly get acquainted with the main provisions and the main sections of it. So here, introduction, update date, another section, information we collect. We also see here use of personal information, specific purposes, disclosure of personal information, who do we share information with, and retention of personal information, security of personal information, notice to EU users, and legal basis, international transfer, California shine light, do not track, links to other sites, children's privacy, and changes to this privacy, contact us sections as well. Okay, I cannot move this window, so again, but I see the section, the last section is contact us. Okay. Hey guys, let's move to the first block of this privacy policy. All right. Okay, so what we see here, the privacy policy in the first section, the first block, this is the introductory part. This information where I see that the company, the legal name of the company, and I don't see here the state of registration or the place of registration of the company, but anyway, the sort of information earlier that the company is based in New York. It means that the company is registered within the US, right? And this is just for our information, because we will analyze this privacy policy taking into consideration the fact that the company is US based, and we will also understand, we will try actually to guess which privacy laws might apply to the company, specifically in the privacy practices. Right. So here the company states that this privacy policy applies to the website that we are analyzing today, and all websites and mobile apps owned and operated by the company, on which this privacy policy is displayed. Again, guys, see that the company points out that this privacy policy actually applies to the website that we have just analyzed, but at the same time they haven't placed the link to this website policy, this privacy policy, which is a really strange practice. But this privacy policy also applies to other mobile apps or other websites that owned by the company. Maybe actually we even haven't analyzed all of them today, because we saw different forms for different types of users, like founders and funders, right? And maybe we won't be able to compare absolutely all features today, because some functionality that the users might see when they register or create an account with the company, this functionality, this platform might also have some other types of information and website forms with the need to share some personal data of users. So we will analyze this privacy policy specifically in terms of what we have already seen today, and we will analyze this in terms of mistakes which we'll pointed today, which we'll notice, which actually we noticed today. So this introductory part, we saw this, and also a really good issue that the company placed the date of the last update of this privacy policy. So as you might see, the last update was on November the 1st, 2022, like pretty long time ago, but again, I'm not sure about the actual practice of the company, whether they do function nowadays or no, or do they update? Maybe they just, I don't know, maybe they just haven't updated it for so long time. This is just for our information, right? That the last update was on this date. This is actual information is required, and you need to share the last update of your privacy policy whenever you may make some changes, because this is, for example, one of the requirements of the California Online Privacy Act. Actually, the first act that was in effect in California, and which started this privacy practices, actually the era of privacy regulations within California. And according to their requirements, you need to share this date, the date of last update of the privacy policy. So let's analyze the second section, and the second section is about information that the company collects. Usually all privacy policies which you will see on different websites, they always begin with the first section after introduction about the types, about the categories of personal information that the website collects from users. And you will see the categorization of this data with a description of the types of personal data that the website or another platform collects. So here is the same information we see here. This is the categorization of different types. Personal information provided by you, actually by users or website visitors, automatic data collection, and third-party data, tracking and cookie data. So the company placed this in 4 parts, and they just made a list of information which are collected in every section of this every section that you see right here, right? So personal information provided by you, this is information that you voluntarily share with the company. For example, when we saw different website forms, you saw that users need actually to fill in these forms to share this data in order to get some kind of help or to get the requested information, right? So when we talk about this section, this is specifically what we analyzed today in the website forms. And you might see here that the company mentioned name, company name, business email address, telephone number, profile information used to access the service, such as username and password, and what else? And some kind with your consent, some kind of information related to the service from your business accounting software, recurring revenue subscription software, and business bank account information. So actually these types of information, guys, I suppose they are connected with the platform functionality, which we haven't analyzed today because we would need to register to create an account to test this, so we can analyze at least the first type of this section. And we see that actually the company placed all types of information which we saw today in this website forms. Only issue that I would point here is that, for example, company name and business email address, I wouldn't relate them to personal information because as we discussed today, the company name, it relates to a legal entity, and personal information and personal data, and they do not refer to legal entities. Because when we talk about personal information, we understand this data refer exclusively to individuals who can be identified in any way through different identifiers such as name, email, home address, online identifiers, and a lot of others. In this case, the company just placed actually all types of information that they collect, but it's not required because these are not personal data. Okay, let's analyze this other blocks. Automatic data collection, that's what I was talking about. That's some pieces of functionalities some service providers that company actually use and engage within their services. They do collect certain information automatically without their consent, without the need to get the consent from users, right? Because this types of information is required to function the website, to operate some features of the website, to provide the services like in a manner that is required for the company. And usually this data is called usage data, right? Because they do not require active consent from the user, right? To use this data or to collect this data. And here we see the description of this automatic data collection, like IP address, browser type, browser version, the pages of the service, and a lot of other. And third-party data. Let's see what the company mentioned right here, because we saw, I will remind you guys that we saw the possibility for users to sign in by using Google sign-in form or Facebook sign-in, right? So it means that the company also collects, they get information from users with their consent, but through these platforms. Google, when you connect to the Google through the website, Google shares some types of information like your name, email address, your profile picture with the website through which you are doing this, through which you are signing in. So this section, I suppose, means the same information. And we might see that the company may obtain information from other sources, including through third-party services and organizations. And see, what do we see here? This additional information allows us to supplement and verify information that you have provided. And they also describe the purposes for which they do this, for fraud prevention, for marketing, and other purposes that you might see right here. And other sections of this block, other sections of this types of information, we see this tracking and cookie data. And you remember that when we analyzed the website, I pointed out that the company, for example, one of the features of this website is that the company has embedded videos from YouTube, and this is just one of the examples that which actually service providers might use the cookies, right, or other tracking technologies. But you will need to understand that this is just only one service provider and just one example. But at the same time, if you, for example, just check here for a second. Okay, here is not so many, but I can. Okay, let's try to see here. Cookies and site data. Again, not so many, but I saw when, for example, we clicked on the news section, and when we were in the section with videos, for example, I will show you this information here, that you might see here YouTube, Google, and other service providers. And I also saw, I didn't remember where, but I also saw the Google Analytics cookies. So it means that besides just YouTube, the company also has other service providers with whom they share personal information of their website users, and for sure all the third-party providers. In most cases, they will collect and some places some types of cookies with you, like on the website. So this is absolutely normal. The issue that I would also like to check right at this stage is whether the company discloses some, whether they elaborate on the cookies collection practices and how actually users can manage these cookies. Because as you might see, when you just entered the website, when we were on the first, let's close it. When we just entered the website and tried to scroll down to figure out how it works, you haven't seen any cookie banner, right? So we just by default understood when we just started to analyze the website and when we started to analyze privacy policies that the company actually collects cookies right in places, but at the same time they don't have any window pop-up or cookie banner which would show us this information that they do this. According, for example, to European regulations, they have really strict requirements with regard to informing the users about cookie placement, and they also need to get user consent for the collection of all non-essential cookies, right? And you need to provide this option to users to consent to them, or you need to refrain from these practices, refrain from collection of non-essential cookies, right? And here we don't see any cookie banner, and we also don't see any description of how users, for example, can manage their cookies, how they can change their preferences in their browser, for example, right? No information about this. We also don't see information about the breakdown of the purposes of the use of these cookies, or actually the breakdown of the types of the cookies that the company might use for which purposes, or which types, like from first-party service provider, first-party cookies. If we speak about third-party service providers, it will be third-party cookies. So you need to elaborate on this specific issue. You need to provide more context about the purposes of use, and for sure about the options your users have with regard to the cookies. But as you might see here, there is no information about this. Okay, so that's like another privacy mistake, another privacy fail, and I want to move back to see other sections. Okay. The next sections that we see, so actually the second section after the information we collect, it's the use of personal information, and this section usually describes the purposes for which the company collects and processes personal information of their website visitors or their users, right? And we see here a long list of different purposes. I will just check it through quickly and we'll review it, not to check it section by section. Register, okay, provide maintain services, notified about changes, allow participate in features, okay, with your permission send you communication, special offers, Okay, a really interesting issue here that the company states that they may provide its communications online, marketing communications via email, postal mail, online advertising, social media, telephone, text messages, so absolutely all forms of communications that they prefer for marketing emails. I will stop at this point later a bit because I need to point a really important moment here. It is connected with the federal regulation of the United States about sending email marketing, actually not only email marketing but text messaging related to for marketing purposes. There are some requirements which you'll need to follow if you want to be compliant in terms of these regulations, because failure to do this might lead to the penalties from competent authorities. And other purposes. Then confirm the identity of this one. So from the first point of view, the company clearly describes all purposes for which they collect and process personal data, so it's actually good. I don't have any issues because actually, again, I see all the purposes which we saw today, for which the company collects this personal information and process, right? Some of them we haven't analyzed today because we didn't get the option, for example, to analyze the functionality of the platform when users create account. But again, I see a really clear description of the purposes. So at this stage, we might move to the next section. Disclosure of personal information and who do we share your information with. I do not know why the company divided this section into two blocks, but actually disclosure and sharing information, these are the same. And so this purpose of this section, purpose of this information that you need to highlight here is to describe your sharing practices, describe and highlight all third parties with whom you share your users' personal information, and ideally for which purposes as well. So we'll check this information at this stage. And we see here the first group of third parties with whom the company shares data. This is systematic ventures affiliates. This is regular practices. I will not stop here. It just means that if company has affiliates, this is their partners with whom they usually share for their business purposes, and you for sure need to disclose this information. You need to inform your users about these practices, but it's pretty normal, and we can move forward. The second category of entities, financial companies, with whom we engage in joint marketing efforts or who offer financial products or services that might be of interest. Okay, I suppose that here the company mentioned some categories of entities with whom they might share data related to some service functionality, platform functionality. Again, we haven't seen the full functionality of this platform. We didn't see the functionality for founders, so it's really difficult to analyze this type of entities, this category, but I suppose the company stated it. They really do this, and you just need to be aware of this as well. And you see here that they also describe the purpose for sharing, suggest joint marketing efforts, and offering financial related products or services. And so this is the description of the purpose of this sharing practices. Another category, other business partners who offer products or services that might be interested in. Okay, that's not actually a really clear description of this purpose of the sharing, because we see there that these business partners might offer some products and services for you or for users, but at the same time, it means if this third party shares this information, actually shares some products or services with you, it means that they use your users' data, your website visitors' data for their marketing purposes, right? Because when they offer products, when they offer unrelated products to the company, to the functionality of the platform we are talking about, it means that we talk about third-party marketing efforts, third-party marketing practices and purposes. And in this case, you for sure will need to get consent of your users for sharing this information with them for this purpose, because it's not related to the service functionality, and the company clearly defines this within this section that it doesn't relate to, it's not service related. So we see here clearly that it is marketing purpose and actually third-party marketing purpose, and you need to ensure that you provide users with the option to consent and to opt out of the sharing practices. Let's move forward. Systematic ventures, service providers. Okay, and here we see that the company, this actually what I was talking about earlier today, that when a company operates the website, they usually engage different third-party service providers to perform some functions on the website, to make the website operational and to properly function, and a lot of sections, a lot of blocks, they need the help of external resources. For example, if we speak about storing or hosting users' data that the company collects within the website, usually the company uses the services of cloud hosting service providers to store this data. And this, for example, would be like just one of the examples of the third-party service providers. Or if the company uses some email marketing campaign management platform for sending marketing newsletter, they might also use the services of some vendor, which for sure will be like a data processor of the company, and which will process this user's data for the purposes of sending this marketing newsletter, and it will be another example of service providers. So here's the company states that they actually use the service providers, and at the same time they do not disclose specifically the purposes of their use. They just mention that for the providing business analysis or website or product support. So just general description without any specific clarification or without any details, but this just like make a general overview of their sharing practices. I would suggest and I always recommend to companies to clearly define the purposes and all types of service providers which you might use, right? Because this makes your privacy policy transparent and clear for your website visitors, for your users. And the last section within this blog are the situations where the company might share users' data. And we see here the descriptions of other purposes, like when it is required federal requirements, when we need to conduct corporate transaction. Yeah, it's another common reason. Also, we need to investigate, prevent, or take some actual legal actions, right? To respond to the court order. Okay, so yeah, this is actually the list that I just read. It's also common practices, and actually in most cases this is requirement by the laws, by the federal requirements or by state laws, and the company does really need to disclose some types of information in the cases described right here. And we will stop at this stage and we can move on to the next one. Retention of personal information. So this section is required in the light of the need or in the light of the requirements of the company to highlight, to disclose the information to users, website visitors, of how long they are planning to store their data. And ideally, a company also needs to have retention policy on the describing actually the types of data they collect and the periods during which they plan to store this data, they plan to retain this data, because you cannot retain users' data for an non-identifiable period of time. You need to delete them, you need to remove this data from your database and from your records, and usually you need to clearly define, to outline how long you will do this. So let's check what company states here. You might see that the company will keep personal information of users during the length of the contractual relationship, right? Or 3 years after the last correspondence with us. So it means, for example, if you was a user, a client in this company, and you actively used their services, right? And you communicated with the company in various ways. But, for example, you just at some point of time you stopped using their services and you just dropped any communication with them, and the company just fixed maybe the time when you had last communication with them, and after 3 years of this letter of this last communication you had, they will stop keeping your information and they will need to remove or delete it in some way. I don't see the information about how do they do this actually. I mean, like the type or the form of removing this data. It's also advisable to disclose this information, but again, this is good that the company actually disclosed the term, the period of retention. Yeah, right here they state that they erase or anonymize relevant personal information. Yeah, this is actually good because anonymization of the personal information is another applicable practice, and it's possible to use the data in such a way so because when the data will be anonymized, the company will not be able to identify the person in any way, so it's like a permissible practice. So let's move to the next section, and we here see the security of personal information. Another important section. A lot of companies do not pay much attention to it, and they do not think that it's important to disclose this, but in most cases you will see such kind of general description of the practices as I see right here. I see only that the company state that they use various physical, technical, organizational and administrative security measures, but they do not disclose actually these safeguards measures which they take, how do they apply them, in which cases, what types of techniques or measures they take, and a lot of companies make the same mistake. You need to visibly identify all the measures you take, how actually you protect this information, the personal information of your users, because it's really important for users to be sure that the sharing practices, that the data that they share with you will be in secure way stored within the company and they will be protected in a proper way. So I usually suggest all companies to prepare the list of the measures that they actually have, that they actually implement with their company, with their web development team, and to provide this list in the privacy policy in this category that we see right here. For technical, organizational, administrative security measures are 3 main groups of the measures that usually the company take, and I would do the same here. I would describe this list of measures taken. And let's see what we have next. Notice to EU users. What does it mean, guys? So if the company added the notice to EU users, it means that they collect the personal information of European residents as well. Because notice of European users is required in the light of the GDPR, right? And the GDPR is like a constitution of all European residents, and their data protected within the GDPR, right? And if we see it here, it means that the company also has access to personal information of European residents. So let's see what the company placed here and whether they have added all necessary types of information. So we see here the description of the rights, another section, legal basis upon which they rely when they process and collect this data. We also have here the international transfer of personal information, and that is all, because the next section is about California. So let's move back. So the first section which we will analyze is right here, is a certain rights, so actually the description of privacy rights which EU users have. And here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rights. Actually, according to the GDPR, users have 7 basic, basic rights, because there are also some additional rights which are connected with the one that described right here, but the main are 7. And here we see the access, justification, restriction, data portability, object of the processing, and lodge a complaint with the competent supervisory authority. The right that I haven't noticed here is the right to withdraw the consent, right? One of the rights that is guaranteed by the GDPR is to withdraw the consent if actual users gave your consent to process their data for some specific purpose. For example, when we talked earlier today about the collection practices of the company related to marketing communication, so we saw a lot of website forms with the offer to sign into the marketing newsletter, right, form. This is the form, this is the purpose when you actually need, when you require active consent of users. In this case, we talk about European residents, and this right is guaranteed by the GDPR. So if your users gave consent and they subscribed once to your marketing email communication, but at some point of the time they just want to stop doing this, you need to provide them this right. You need to provide them the right to withdraw their consent in order to stop receiving such type of communication. In this case, the company omitted this right, and this is a really big privacy fail, because you need to guarantee this right as well. And in this case, if users, for example, will not receive their satisfaction of this right, the right to stop receiving such type of communication or withdraw their consent, they might lodge a complaint with the supervisory authority, as actually the company stated right here. The company also provide the right to, actually not the right, they also provide the option how users can contact them and how they can realize these rights, but by contact them through this website form. Really, guys? So you offer your users to contact you through the form, through the page which even doesn't exist? This is ridiculous. I would recommend the company to leave an email address at least, and ideally it shall be a specially defined email address for EU users under which you can contact the company and leave the request, actually to request the right that they want to realize, right? But this is not appropriate, yeah, and you see this from your own end. It's really bad. What else? Yeah, they have the time for response, so not more than 1 month. This is the normal practice, a normal term in the light of the GDPR. In some in really difficult cases, sometimes you can extend this term up to 60 days, for example, but you need to inform your users first that you need this time extension, so do not forget about this. So another section related to the GDPR as well is legal basis upon which we rely. So the company describes there are like 4 main legal bases usually used by the business, but there are much more in the GDPR. So I see here only 4. This is normal. We will analyze this right now. And one of the requirements of the GDPR that you need not only state the purposes for which you collect and process personal data, but you also need to justify this processing under one of the legal bases. And legal bases are stated by the GDPR. So what the company states with regard to this? Okay, the consent, the company states that it's only based by us in relation to processing that is entirely voluntary. Right, this is like I was talking about earlier, for example, like marketing email communication. It's absolutely voluntary and you need users' consent. And here the company actually described that the users can withdraw their specific consent, described above. Yeah, so, okay. Please note, even if you withdraw for us to use your personal information for a purpose, we may continue to rely on other lawful persons. Yeah, this is the wording that the company uses here. It states that they might process your data for other purposes, but you shall remember that you need to clearly state these purposes for which you might process personal data. So even if you continue to do this, you cannot, for example, use this data for marketing purposes, right? If users withdraw their consent, right, they can, they should have the option to granular consent, right? If they want to withdraw for a specific purpose, this is fine. If they want, for example, to withdraw their content for any other purposes, you need to clearly define and clearly state these purposes for which they have this option. So, and let's analyze here this 4 legal bases which company disclosed right here. So the first one, this is actually contractual necessity. No, sorry, the contractual necessity is the second one, right? The first one is the necessity to comply with legal obligations. Like, and the company gives an example, for example, compliance with the anti-money laundering legislation, right? So this is the cases in which the company might process your data without having your consent, because this is the requirement of the law. So if they are subject of any law, of any federal law or any US state law, or maybe European even legislation, because the company states they process European data as well. And if they are required to do this by law, for sure they will need to process the user's data as well for these purposes. Another legal basis is for the performance of a contract you are a party to, or in order to take steps at your request prior to entering in a contract. This is contractual necessity. For example, if the company and a user, or in other case, we have also business representative. Yeah, if, for example, a user creates an account in behalf of a legal entity, they enter in a contract, they enter in through like this website, right? And for example, this user orders some type of service from the company or subscribe to the services that we analyzed today in the platform, pays some money for that service, right? So purchase some type of products, they enter in a contract. And to process, actually to use to provide the functionality to enforce this contract, the company needs to process personal data of this specific individual. So this is the purpose, so this is the legal basis, what it's actually about. Another legal basis, the processing is necessary for the establishment, exercise, or defense of legal claims. This is also another appropriate legal basis. It also, in some type, it's related to comply with legal obligations, to comply with their legal requirements of different laws. Because if you need to, for example, to investigate some cases, right, some violations, you will need also to process and to use some type of personal information of users. And also the last legal basis here is the processing necessary for our legitimate business interest. This also really general and widely spread practice, widely spread basis within the business. But the point that I want to mention here is that the company doesn't disclose for which legitimate interests they might process users' data, and it's not really good because it's stayed unclear for your website visitors, for your users, actually for which kind of purposes it might be, because there are a variety of different business purposes and business interests, right? Legitimate. I mean, it can be, for example, to prevent fraud. It can be for, I don't know, for maybe an analyzed website to make it better, to make a website experience better for your users, to investigate some problems within the website, to do troubleshooting within the website. So pretty a lot of different legitimate interests, right, for which you might do this. But the company stated unclear. And what I would do. The first issue is to describe this list of possible legitimate interests. But anyway, let's move forward. And another section within this European section is international transfer of personal information. As we know, the company is US-based and it is registered in New York State. At the same time, the company processed and collects data from the European residents. They need to make it clear for European residents that their data will be shared, that they will be transferred from the European Union to the United States, right? And the company also needs to state that on which type of transfer mechanism they rely on when they process this data or when they transfer this data. And this section This is about this. And that's all. So at this point, I hope that you understood which mistakes that the section have. I mean, the section about European Union residents. And we can move to the next section, the Californian Shine the Light. This is one of the Californian privacy laws, and it specifically requires the company to disclose the information about the categories of information of their users that they share with other businesses, with third parties for the marketing purposes of third parties. And you remember that we also saw information above today in this privacy policy that the company shares some type of personal information with business partners for marketing purposes. So actually this is what this law requires the company to do. They need to provide information about these disclosure practices related to marketing purposes of the third parties, and they need to provide this information to users who request this information. And we see that the company guarantees that they do this. Yeah, right. Immediately prior calendar, okay. And they give the example how it works. So if the request made in 2019, users will receive information regarding the sharing practices in 2018 because the information is provided for the previous year, right? Okay, in the another section we see do not track. That when I see the section, it means that the company tries to comply with the California Online Privacy Act, the act that I mentioned earlier today, and this is one of the requirements of this law, of this Californian Act, to disclose the information about how company reacts to do not track signals. And we can see here that we do not track website users over time because parties do not have to track which. So the company claims that they do not track this website. Okay, so we will believe the company at this stage that they do not do this. I want to stop here, guys, just for a while because I saw the section do not track signal, but we almost at the end of the privacy policy, and it means that the company hasn't added any other information about Californian residents, about the rights of the Californian residents they have. The reason that I'm talking about this because if the company placed the information about do not track signals, they should also place information about the right that the California resident has, because this requirements of the California Online Privacy Act. And actually Californian users, Californian residents, they do have also some types of privacy rights. They're not so extensive as, for example, in case of the European law, but they also have the right to access to personal information, so they can request this information. They can also request the company to rectify inaccurate personal information. So if the user find out that some type of information shared earlier is inaccurate, they can require amendment, change to this information. And they can also request the deletion of their personal information as well. So if a user wants to remove their data from the database of the company, they also can request this from the company. But at the same time, I haven't found this information. I haven't found this section for Californian residents, and this section was just omitted at all. Okay, anyway, let's move to the next sections and we'll see what we have here. We also see the section links to other sites, and let's see. Yeah, if you click on a third-party link, you will be directed to third-party websites, and we strongly advise to review this privacy policy. Sure, this is what I was talking about earlier today when we saw some external links to social media platforms such as LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, any other possible, right? We understand that this is external website resources, and the company cannot be responsible for the practices of these vendors, of these third-party service providers. And the companies who discloses just makes clear for users not to be mistaken about the practices, right, about the sharing practices and privacy practices of these resources. So you need to be aware when you're following the link, when you are forwarded to another website, which are not the part of this privacy policy, you need to check other privacy policies and the practices, privacy practices of other third-party services. And we are almost to finish, and we see here another section, children's privacy. And the company states that they do not collect information from users under the age of 18, so only for adults. This is good, and this also normal practices, because in such case the company is not subject to federal regulation of governing children privacy and the protection of personal data from children. So we understand that these federal regulation, for example, will not apply for the company, right? And other sections, almost the last one, this is about changes to this privacy policy. Unfortunately, I cannot move this window to see it fully, but I will try to analyze it just quickly in this way. This is the description of how the company makes some changes to this privacy policy, how they notify their users about this. So you can see that that the effective date will be visible at the top of the privacy policy. That's what we actually saw today earlier. We see here the last updated and effective date, right? So the company does this, and they clearly define this. And that is all. So I'm not sure whether they actually updated this privacy policy after the date that's mentioned above, but anyway, you need to regularly update, guys. Remember to regularly update your privacy policy, because it's really important to stay updated not only within your privacy practice of the website, within the changes that happen and occur within the website's functionality, but also in the light of change in privacy regulation. For example, United States law, it's local laws of the United States, different states are changing quickly. New laws are adopted today, and they adopting really fast, and you need to check all the time whether you are subject to these new laws in order to be ready to update your privacy policy whenever it's needed, right? And what is next? Contact us section is the last section we see here, and the company provides again one type of contact form. Let's check again, maybe this was my bad, I'm not sure, but now connect form. This is the only way you can contact company, you can connect with the company through the schedule a demo form. I don't understand, guys, why the company just didn't place the link to email address by which users can contact about their privacy rights, about the issues related to some privacy rights or the privacy policy. It's really ridiculous, because this was like a normal practice. You can provide email address, you can provide, for example, a website form, but a normal one which will work, right? Not as, for example, for EU residents as we saw earlier today. But anyway, you can contact the company through this form, and you can describe your question, and this is the only way to do this. So guys, it was the last part of this privacy policy. And as you might see, it does have a lot of mistakes and privacy fails. Some of them are critical, some of them not so critical, but this privacy policy does require a lot of amendments and changes. It shall be improved in a lot of parts, as you might see. A lot of information were just omitted, were not disclosed. Some information we cannot verify for sure, because we haven't seen the functionality of this platform for the 100%. But I see a lot of omissions, I see a lot of privacy fails in this website. So guys, I hope that it was really helpful for you today to explore this website with me today, to see all these privacy fails, these privacy mistakes. And as usual, I want to see less and less mistakes in the website that I analyzed, but unfortunately it doesn't happen as of now, as today. And I would like you to see this for sure, this video carefully. Maybe you'll need to review and to repeat some sections to check the information one more time. But for sure, the purpose of my videos, as usual, is to make it clear how important the privacy practice, how important the privacy regulations, how important the compliance with the privacy laws. And you shall remember that you need to follow the privacy laws that apply to your business specifically, and it's important not to make the same mistakes as we just saw today. So guys, so thank you for staying with me today. Thank you for watching this video, and as usual, I appreciate your likes and your comments to this video, and see you soon in the next videos, in the next website reviews. Goodbye guys.